Okay, folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good. Listen, this is if you're listening to this day and date, it is Wednesday, and we're at the final moments of televised Scandal. And that means the third part of the reunion is tonight. Now, of course, we have a secrets revealed episode that will air next week, but can we just all agree to ignore that? unless there's just the biggest secret ever. But at this point, it's just going to be innocuous secrets. I bet the secret's like DJ James Kennedy, you know, didn't pay his taxes last year. The secrets revealed stuff. I did hear though that we potentially are going to see footage of Schwartz and Katie because cameras did film a little bit of around their divorce time that we never got to see. So allegedly, we could be seeing a little bit of that. I think we might see extended scenes from this season. And truthfully, that will be fascinating because every little piece of this has been kind of like another puzzle piece or a clue to the overall mystery of what exactly happened during Scandal and when did it happen. Now, they have teased this big surprise in the last 5 minutes of tonight's finale episode. Now, Alex Baskin, the executive producer of Vanderpump Rules, who works with the production company Evolution Media, did a fascinating interview with the Hollywood Reporter today, which we're going to cover in this. I don't know if you're watching this on YouTube, but if you're just listening to it, we're going to cover it and go through everything that he said so we can go through what the potential mystery is. Now, I've talked about this time and time again on this show, and I'll tell you the information I have up to this date. But even I'm like, listen, I could be wrong. The people that I've gotten my information could be wrong. We don't know. But what we do know as of tonight, DJ James Kennedy, I believe the cast got their screener copies tonight. They usually get them a week in advance. And they got theirs tonight. So this is DJ James Kennedy's reaction to the finale episode that he just watched. This is great. Listen to this.
Just watched part 3 of this reunion, okay? And let me just tell you, like, if you were thinking that you're like over it, right? Or you're ready to forgive anyone, okay? Just watch tomorrow. And I swear, you're going to get shot right back to square one, okay?
Boo! You're going to get shot right back to square one because there's fat fucks doing fat fuck things. Yes. Worms with mustache, poo-poo heads, both of you. Poo-poo. Oh, we get the poo-poo headline tonight. And then Andy's like, James, I'm sorry. I'm going to get a spanking. Am I? So they all saw it, and it seems like it is crazy. Now, remember, those last 5 minutes are going to be a mystery to us, but we're going to speculate on what that is. But remember, we've got a whole hour-long show. And remember some of the things that we know that are revealed, because this is when Raquel, I am Rachel, the robot, comes out, and we get to hear whatever her and Sandoval have been, going over for preparing for their reunion. But we do know there is one scene that I hear is disgusting where they talk about Ariana and Tom's sex life, and he said, oh yeah, so hot that she didn't even take off her shirt when we had sex, or something to that effect, saying that she left her shirt on, which, listen, I'm on team, I'll leave my listen, I put a shirt on. I put 2 shirts on when I make love. But that's actually supposedly the time when Schwartz puts his head in his hands. Like, we've seen that image. Supposedly Tom Sandoval says that about Ariana, and then Schwartz puts his head in his hands. That's what I'm hearing. We'll see if that's correct tomorrow night. So even without that mystery revealed, the hour is supposed to be pretty harrowing. And I hear that this doesn't win over any new fans for Tom Sandoval, but I wouldn't expect it to at this point. We also see from the previews that he's like, I'm a human. I make mistakes. Which is like, yes, he is a human. Yes, as humans, we make mistakes. This is a big one, though. This is a big 9-month choice that probably started off as a mistake and then turned into a choice. So let's not forget that. But I will say I'm very excited for Scandal to be over and just to move on and see what else life has to offer us. And of course, will be a Vanderpump Rules season 11, which we will have to look forward to if they do not exhaust us. We might be sick of Vanderpump Rules in a month. Who knows? But it's time for this to go away just a little bit. We'll get the rumors and the speculation, but it'll be nice to have the show part of it done. And I'm going to be watching actually from Sexy Unique Restaurant Sir. I got invited to the screening party tomorrow night or tonight so I'll let you guys know on Friday what that event was like. I think there's going to be some cast members there. I know they have one party in New York and one party in Los Angeles. So I'll be attending the Los Angeles one. If any of you guys are there, please come up and say hi. I'm nervous to go, but I'm excited. And anything to be near that Sir alleyway will just be magical. I'm hoping to get a picture with Ken so I can be like, did you know, Raquel? Did you know Tom Sandoval was in a jacuzzi with Raquel? I want to say that to Ken so bad. So hopefully my dream will come true tomorrow night. So let's get into this article about what this potential surprise is. Now, this is the headline says Scandival timeline, quote, evolves in final reunion episode. Vanderpump Rules executive producer says Alex Baskin goes behind the scenes of the 3-part reunion that has captivated audiences ahead of the big twist revelation, which happened after they finished filming and is set to rock the Bravoverse. And this is an article written by Jackie Strauss. Now, Alex Baskin, a couple weeks ago, did an article for Variety written by Kate Arthur, one of my favorite entertainment reporters. I thought that was an excellent interview. So let's get in to see what Alex Baskin is saying now. Now, okay, right before this, though, I want to tell you what I know, what I have heard, and this is from sources close as well, is that I heard to temper your expectations on the surprise. What I hear the surprise is not to, and by the way, I will be kind of excited if I'm wrong because it means it's even worse. But what I've heard was that it is in regards to the timeline of how long Scandival has been going. So Tom says, Schwartz says that he found out in August, right? And that this happened in August. That's when he found out. But allegedly, we find out in Raquel's talking head, not the one-on-one with Andy, but they filmed a talking heads post-reunion. They were still doing talking heads for the Scandival finale episode, if that makes sense. So they filmed the reunions. Then remember, they were piecing together the final episode where cameras went back up and they called people to the studio to film their talking heads. So you had Ariana, Sandoval, and Raquel all in those seats. And that's where we got the talking head of Raquel being like, I just wanted to see what it would be like to touch somebody that I loved in regards to having sex with Sandoval. Supposedly, she says something in that interview, that talking head, that expands the timeline. Now, unless I got bad information, which is totally possible, I hear that the timeline starts around Coachella, and there's something to do with some pool night, that something actually did happen in the pool or the jacuzzi. We'll see if that is correct information or not. So Coachella would put us back to April of the previous year and not of the April of that year, not August. Now, a lot of people have said and speculated that this was going on even when she was with DJ James Kennedy. Now, if that is true, that is not what I heard, and I will be blown away. And the viewer in me is like, oh my God, that would be amazing, even though that's horrific. And it would really open up things even more. But I do just tend to say temper your expectations on this surprise, because I think it's going to be a fascinating hour of television regardless of what that surprise is. But even with that surprise, remember that the audience, we already know so much more information than when they stopped doing any of this, because we've had now a month and a half more of stuff after all of this was filmed. So we know more information at this point than the show is actually going to reveal in certain ways. Remember that. You're not going to get all of the ins and outs. I think Ariana revealed some stuff on the Call Her Daddy podcast. Sandoval revealed some stuff on the Howie Mandel podcast, the infamous Howie Mandel. Oh man, I hope Howie Mandel's over that Sir watch party tomorrow night. What if that's going to be his first full episode of Vanderpump Rules he ever watches? He's like, I don't know why I didn't watch. This is excellent. I was way wrong about Tom. I regret shaving that man's mustache. So this article starts off with Vanderpump Rules boss Alex Baskin set social media on fire when he teased the third and final round of the Bravo reunion. Now, he's doing these press rounds, you guys, because this is the most attention the show has gotten in years, highest ratings Bravo has gotten in years, and there really is a real underdog shot here of being potentially nominated for an Emmy for Best Reality Television Series. So you are going to see this guy trotting out there speaking the gospel of Vanderpump Rules. Now, Evolution Media also is not just Vanderpump Rules production company. It also produces Real Housewives of Orange County, which premieres tonight after Vanderpump Rules. It also, or maybe it's before it. Anyways, it's on tonight, and then also produces Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. In fact, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, they had to loan Vanderpump Rules their camera crew when they picked back up cameras because they had already shut down production. So the Beverly Hills camera people were on loan to Vanderpump Rules during Scandal, which I thought was just a fascinating piece of information. The article continues, like a game of telephone, his quotes about new revelations that are set to be revealed turned into viewers anticipating a bombshell new piece of information, something that the cast apparently doesn't know about that is so big they should wait to see it before determining if they want to return for the already renewed 11th season of the mega popular reality series. Now, Lala Kent, you guys, went on The View today, and she did a great job. She was all demure in her little tweed sports jacket, and I think she did really well. The ladies seemed to really like her. But also Lala's timeline of this, in just terms of finding out stuff, is kind of wacky. She says she was at an event. She said on an Amazon Live that she was at an event a couple of weeks ago with the producers, and they told her what it is. They told her what was revealed, and she was like, oh. But then today on The View, she said she did not know what the actual last 5 minutes, the surprise was. And that's it. Like, I can't tell now when people are just trying to get attention, trying to get clicks, trying to get eyeballs, or when they actually do know information. And it's weird. I just don't like when people go back on something that they said originally. I'm sure Lala will explain what she meant more about that on her podcast. We all have podcasts now. That's where we get every piece of information. But I was just curious about that. I don't know if you guys noticed that as well. So speaking to the Hollywood Reporter, Baskin wants to clarify and also expand and titillate on that tease. Love the word titillate. Very excited word. Quote, there are revelations and developments that left even our heads spinning, says the executive producer who has been with the show for all 10 seasons, of what he refers to as the part 3 post-reunion twist. Quote, we wind down the day of filming the reunion, and then a few days later, there's yet another development. It isn't something the group witnessed at the time, so I think they're going to have to respond to it when they see it. What does that even mean? I hope there are cameras. There should be cameras in the faces of Ariana, and they're like, I need you to respond in real time right now. Baskin confirms that the twist indeed applies to Scandal, the term used for the news breaking that castmates Tom Sandoval and Rachel Leviss had a months-long affair. The Bravo series famously captured the fallout, blah, blah, blah. The first opportunity the cast had to confront Sandoval and Leviss was at the reunion, which was filmed in March. Let's take out our trusty calendars. It's what month are we in now? June. How do the months go? You go March, April. Guys, we've been dealing with this shit for over 3 months. I mean, think about that. A quarter of our year has been spent with Scandal. What the holy hell? We need our time back, folks. Below, Baskin goes behind the scenes of the reunion that has captivated the country and confirms that viewers will indeed be shocked, along with the cast, who have not yet seen part 3 come Wednesday night. Quote, the timeline evolves. Question, part 3 of the Vanderpump Rules reunion is the part that focuses on Raquel Leviss. What can we expect to learn? And he says, you can expect to learn a lot. What made this reunion different than any other was that we, as a production, had no idea what was going to happen. Usually we have some sense. I love that because, remember, as production, they kind of get a sense of what they're going to get or what they want to achieve. He says there's great anticipation for Raquel to come out in part 3. I will say that whatever anyone thinks of what she did this past season, it was brave of her to face the music knowing everyone is at full tilt. Okay, now as an executive producer, you got to say that because you got to, she did a horrific thing, but you got to applaud her for coming out because you want her to come back for season 11. So Mr. Baskin is in a very interesting position where he can't be like, fuck that bitch. He can't be like, this girl is nuts. He's got to say, what a brave thing to do. I know people might be mad, but it was a brave thing to do. He says, and we've been teasing a twist at the end of the reunion. So I think it's the perfect capper to a season unlike any other. I like that he's like, there's more pain to come. We wind down the day of filming in the reunion, and then a few days later, there's yet another development. I'll just say this. isn't a garden variety getting the group together to recap show, or in this case, just Raquel speaking her piece of apology to Ariana. There are revelations and developments that left even our heads spinning. Question, I'm going to circle back on that in a minute. First, was there ever a moment when it looked like Raquel might not participate? He answers, we didn't know until probably about a week before that she was actually going to go do the reunion. And then we still had contingency plans in that case. Final episode, the one we got up and running once the whole Scandival situation broke out, after they shot together, her and Tom, I think there was real concern on her part about going forward. She wasn't speaking to us at the point. We were talking to her representatives. I need to know who Raquel's representatives are. But there was a point in time in which we didn't have context, so we didn't know whether she would show up to the reunion or not, which is another fascinating thing. So in terms of production, they are working on contingency plans. They're like, okay, if she doesn't show, we have this to show, or we're going to show this. And then when they were able to get her, they're like, we got to put her in a trailer during, like, so many moving parts. And that's why I think this production team handled it so masterfully. He says, and then about a week before, we received firm assurances she would be there, but we still didn't know. We were prepared for any and all eventualities. We shot the one-on-one interviews with the principals involved in the situation, Tom and Ariana and Raquel. We shot Tom and Ariana's interviews the night before, and we held filming Raquel's for the day of the reunion in case there was any concern that Raquel might shoot the one-on-one and then not appear at the reunion. So basically they're saying that one-on-one with Andy, Tom and Ariana's night before, and then Raquel's, she did the day of. So it wasn't like she could do one and then just run for the other. It wasn't like she'd show up for that interview with Andy the day before, it not go well, and then she's like, you know what, I'm not going to be at the reunion. So very smart move on their part as well. He says, but by that point, she was pretty dead set on going to the reunion and dealing with what she needed to, looking Ariana in the eyes and standing up and taking accountability for what she had done. Question, and clearing some things up. And he says, there were some questions that lingered. Was one of them, what the hell's going on with you? There was a lot of emotion. Was there emotion from Raquel? We'll see tomorrow. One of the reasons we did the one-on-ones was because we knew the reunion itself would be so heavily charged that we thought having the sit-down interviews with Andy might elicit different information and have a different tone. There is the reunion itself, and then the coda, which is more in which more is revealed. Now, the coda is going to be that after that reveal last 5 minutes. But also, I got to tell you, this idea about Andy doing one-on-ones, I want that to now be a part of all reunions. I think they did something so unique here that I want them to integrate it into all of the reunions. I was watching the Jersey reunion tonight, and I was just like, man, I would love a one-on-one with Teresa, a one-on-one with Melissa. You know, I would love these things to cap off episodes when these episodes so heavily revolve around a certain topic. I think the one-on-one environment gets people talking a little bit more, or it catches people in lies. And I think, to me, hell yes, more of this. Question, was there anything left on the cutting room floor from the one-on-ones that you wish you got in, or that will be included in the extended Peacock versions? And he says, not a ton, that sucks. I want the whole thing. We had to balance the one-on-ones with the reunion itself. And so we had to really thread the needle of wanting them to yield information on their own, but also not wanting to preempt the reunion. Some information overlapped. Frankly, it's more interesting to see the group respond to the information, but there also might have been some discrepancies in the one-on-ones compared to the group. Like, we did get that lie from Tom Sandoval about when Schwartz knew. We got that immediately, and the editors were able to do a troll cut to Sandoval. So we play those out, and then there's the final beat that I keep teasing, which reveals even more. Question, you were also dealing with a temporary restraining order, which she dropped after filming. If you could have had them on stage together, is there anything you wish you could have played out differently, or are you satisfied with what you got? He says both. The way it played out was really dramatic. We learned how to count to 100 yards. We learned how to count to 100 because that was the distance. We always cover reality, and the reality was there was a restraining order between those two people. I do wish we could have gotten them together because they had a lot to say to each other. That really is something we will get down the line. I think Sheena's a pro, and she knows that scene is coming and it's going to have to come. He says, I do wish She says, Raquel and Sheena had what they both thought was a real friendship. There was an intensity and feelings there. So I wish they could have hashed out their issues. Then the day of, Raquel wanted to drop the restraining orders. So there was preliminary paperwork. I like he said the day of, you guys. This wasn't in the works. This was the day of. So there was preliminary paperwork that was given to Andy that Andy then presented to Sheena. I wish in some parallel universe that Raquel could have handed that to Sheena because of the dramatic effect of that. Wouldn't you be amazed? She clicks in the heels and she's like, Sheena, I'm here to say you can be close to me again. He says, but we were not lacking for any conflict or any drama. Who knows? Maybe that will happen next season on the show. And by the way, if you're a producer on this show, you are already mapping out that scene as the scene you want to get. Question, attending the reunion is part of their contractual obligations, but scandal backlash, mental health issues, and the TRO made for extenuating circumstances. If anyone on the cast said they weren't going to participate, would you have allowed that? And are you shocked everyone did participate in the end? He says, yes, as intense as the reunion is for the production, the hard work goes into getting there in the first place. And this was as difficult and as intense of a few weeks as you can imagine. If you look at the timeline, we learned about the affair on March 2nd. Ariana learned on March 1st. We had cameras up on March 3rd. Then the reunion itself was on March 23rd. When you consider dealing with the fallout of all of that, then shooting the additional episode, the finale, getting the reunion ready under all the variables that the reunion entailed, it was a lot. Of course, our best case scenario was that everyone would show so that we could tell the full story. But ultimately, there's a contractual requirement and there's a reality that you can't make anyone do something that they are just intent on not doing. We were concerned about everyone's well-being, and that's why initially, when Raquel didn't seem like she was going to go, or at least there was doubt and she wasn't in communication with us at that point, it isn't like we would have forced her to do so. Our feeling was that if she was going to go, it would be on her own accord and she would have to be okay with the situation. And if she wasn't, we would have been disappointed from a storytelling standpoint, but we also would have understood. And that goes with anyone there. In covering people's lives, we can't force them to do anything that they don't do of their own volition. Sometimes it means they don't want to be there, but that's different from making the decision not to be there for whatever reason, especially for mental health. Question, did Tom Sandoval try to get out of filming? He says, Sandoval never tried to get out of the reunion. I thought, would I have gone? I don't know. He was never in doubt. He obviously was dreading it, and that's to be understood, but I think he always anticipated that he would go, and I think he was pleased to have the one-on-one interview as well so that he could speak his piece separate and apart from the crowd. They would actually call his bullshit into play. Question, you have sent TikTok on fire with your comment that the cast will want to watch part 3 before signing on for season 11. That seems to not be exactly what you said. Can you clarify? Because at that point, it's like, God, that's such a tease statement, which he clarifies here in a second. But remember, Lala even said on The View today, it's like, listen, we're all on reality shows because we want to be heard. We want to be seen. So the possibility of not signing up for a season 11 almost seems impossible with this group. Alex says, it's so funny because I've gotten all sorts of really aggressive messages from people, including that I will be crucified if there's a disappointment in what happened compared to what I built it up to be. Damn. What I would say, who's writing that? Hey, buddy, if I'm not A-okay with this twist, you're going down, buddy. Dude, we gotta chill as a fan base. Like, honestly, my God. What I would say is, by any reunion standpoint, it is a super explosive event, and it is a big twist. Raquel is not pregnant. There's no story that involves aliens or dragons. Oh my God, I'm gonna crucify you. I was so hoping it was the alien thing. Damn it. He says, but what I had said was that it's a twist at the end of the reunion that if we were in production, the cast would have responded to. Okay. So what he means by that, usually when something like this, they then do talking heads with all the cast. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? How do you respond to this? So it's information that they would respond to. And he also says, and it's one of the many reasons that we wanted to take a moment between the reunion airing and going back into production. I just think that it would have been very difficult for the group to then continue to move forward because this development happened after the reunion was shot. We're in a tenuous place at the end of the reunion. We do not know going into the day whether we would have a breakthrough or not. He's talking about everybody going in to, film the reunion, what's going to come of that day. He says, I just will say that things are unsettled by the end. There's no great spoiler in saying that. And then there's a further development a few days after the reunion that we cover. It isn't like it's something the group witnessed at the time. So I think they're going to have to respond to it when they see it. And I think it's better they're responding when we aren't shooting. I think it's better they're responding when we aren't shooting so that we have space between this past season and their interactions with each other and the group dynamic going forward. So I really do think this is time. This is the timeline. This has to be it. And normally they would be like, okay, they lied about how long this had been going on. But now if they're able to find this out, they'll be able to process it and kind of get, it's not going to be immediately yelling at Sandoval and, like things will have moved on. And at this point too, I think Ariana and the cast has kind of realized Tom has been a pathological liar in a lot of these instances, and Raquel has kept a lot of secrets herself. So I truly think with this tease too that potentially he was trying to tease the cast into expecting maybe the possible worst, and that this isn't going to be as bad. But timeline is where my money is. That's what I've been told. That's where my non-existent money is, you guys. Question, is the twist specific to Scandival? He says, the twist post-reunion does involve Scandival, and it is a wrinkle to what was said at the reunion. So it is a coda or an addition to what was said at the reunion. Once again, that lines up with the timeline because they talked about the timeline on the reunion. This would be in deference. Ariana Maddox implied on Watch What Happens Live that she's learned more since the reunion and wish she had been able to address it. Does she have an inkling about what's going to be revealed? Is it involving the timeline of the affair? He says, well, what I will say is, I don't know who knows what. I don't know if this is information has filtered in different ways because look, everyone turned into a detective, including the audience. So it's hard to know, but I would say that there's information that was not known at the reunion itself about the entire situation that then comes to light in the days following. Question, here are the top TikTok theories for you to comment on. The timeline is off from when the affair began. He says, I would say that the timeline evolves. And he says that laughing. Question, another one. You already put to bed that Raquel is not pregnant. What can you say about the guess that Raquel and Tom Schwartz slept together? Answer, the revelation is not that Raquel and Schwartz slept together. Question, theory. And then there is a theory that boss Lisa Vanderpump plans to move the show's setting to Schwartz and Sandy since Pump is closing. I think this person listens to this podcast. That would impact a lot of the cast and it would center around the Toms. What can you say? He says, I love that theory. It's really inventive and creative, and it's not true. This morning, I watched the reunion again. I've seen it 1,000 times, and the end impacted me again. Even knowing everything I do, I think everything is so sensationalized and so extreme at this point that the theories are really fun. But this is a twist. It's a further development. And to me, what it means is this is hardly over and that we're discovering new information. I love that it's like archaeological dig. We've discovered new dinosaur bones out here. He continues, the group ended in one way, unsettled, but having hashed all this out. And then they will come to find out, or in some cases have already found out, that there's even more to the story. It's not some earth-shattering development about the direction of the show or someone else involved in the whole situation. It's clarity and further diving in on what really happened versus what we thought happened, and centers around the things revealed in the reunion. Question, I imagine there is someone who knows this is about to come out. Has that person reached out with trepidations or begged you to not include it? Ooh, that's a good question. He says, that's a really good question. I think that because this whole situation has been so out of control, there have not been any requests that we not air what is about to be aired or modify in any way. At this point, it's accepted that it's a foregone conclusion. This is all going to air. And everyone just wants this season to be over. So there's more of a resignation to the fact that this is going to be as intense as it's been. It's really been at a fever pitch since the beginning of March. The minute the TMZ story dropped, and it hits its crescendo Wednesday night. Question, is there any hesitation from you about not having cameras on the cast as they watch part 3? He says, we'd have to cut off filming at some point, laughing. I expect that we will hear from all of them, and I know they're waiting with bated breath. They have not seen the episode. Usually we give it early to them. We've been waiting and holding it, so I know they are in as much anticipation as everyone else. They can debunk certain theories, but beyond that, they are waiting to see what it is. They want to, first of all, see the reunion. It's one thing to go through it, and it's another to see it play out differently than you have in your mind. But then there's that final beat that they are speculating about as well, and I know they are eager to see it and respond to it. Question, from a production standpoint, would you usually be talking contracts for the next season and readying up to gear up for cameras at this point? And he says, the truth is we're on our typical production timeline. We're just not in an accelerated timeline. So it just means they're not rushing anything. There was some thought that we would head right into the next season after the reunion, and then it became clear to us that we needed to slow down a minute. So that's what we did. We're making preparations for the next season, but we did just go continuously from the reunion into the next season. Question, given how tense things are among the group and especially with Sandoval, are you expecting to have conditional conversations about season 11? What happens if someone says I'm in, but only if this person is out, or if I never have to film with them? And he says the cast knows that those conditional demands never work. So he's saying Ariana can't say I'm not going to show up to any of these things with Sandoval. So I don't think it's a matter of fact. It's a matter of dialing in what is organic. That's a great production term, organic, for the group to be together, what makes sense. And knowing we want to see where they go from here. It can't be shown with it can't be a show with separate islands. Like, by the way, and that's when shows really do fall apart. You need that kind of base of like group that we see everybody together. That doesn't work, and it's not exciting if we have groups who agree with each other but never interact. But the cast does have the full expectation that we intend to make another season of Vanderpump Rules. Now that we want to make a show that does not that we want to make a show that doesn't resemble one that we've made all these years. It's a show that has followed this group through everything that they've been through to date, and we'll see them as they continue to move forward. There still are. Why don't we just have Sandoval go back to like get a college degree? I want to see that journey. There, same with Raquel, a bachelor, or a doctorate. There still are a ton of ties between people who have incredibly strained relationships right now. Tom and Ariana still live together, so even seeing how that resolves is of interest. Oh man, we're gonna have the move out episode. It isn't like all of a sudden they have gone their respective ends of the universe and that's it. So there's a lot for us to cover, and genuinely, we have no idea how it's going to play out. Just like we wouldn't have been able to predict any of this. Question, if you have your way, when will you have cameras up again? And he said, our hope and plan is the not too distant future this summer. So in the next few weeks. Now, I had heard originally June 13th, the night of the Sur thing. They will have background cameras there, but official cameras up are June 24th. Are you in any active talks with past cast members? He says it is a distinct possibility that some past cast members might make appearances on this upcoming season. Question, because Raquel stepped away from mental health issues, are there any conditions or support you would offer her if she did return? Do you know how she's doing now? He says, we have ongoing conversations with her team, and we're supposed to speak to her as well soon. God, I want the behind the scenes Vanderpump documentary. I want those calls. I don't even need to hear the other end of it. I want to hear Alex on a phone going, how's she doing? Okay. What did she eat today? What's the diagnosis? What's prognosis? He says, we're going to see. We want to make sure she's in a place where it makes sense for her to tell her story in a public setting. We think it's interesting to see what is going on with her life right now and what she plans to do from here. But our first order of business is making sure that it makes sense for her to be on television. I can just picture a scene where she goes and returns that lightning bolt necklace. That was like $700. Question, do you know what the status for her and Tom Sandoval's relationship is right now? And he says, I hear different things. That sounds evasive, but it really isn't. I think part of it is that she has been taking care of herself and she's somewhat isolated, but I don't know what their exact status is. Question, in terms of the rollout of the 3-part reunion, which has extended versions on Peacock, did you ever consider doing more? He says, we literally could have presented raw footage and shown an entire day. Then do it, Alex. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? But I think it's a perfect situation where there is added enjoyment from the Peacock versions. They're longer. You see more. We have to cut short certain conversations for Bravo because we have to make concessions for time. And we didn't have language constraints on Peacock. Fucking A. I think to see this in its full glory, you have to see some of the language that is used. It's spicy, he says, and it's pretty colorful. So Peacock is more the unedited version. It's the enhanced version of what you see on Bravo. And he says, the question is, will the twist be on the Bravo version? And he says, yes. The twist will be everywhere. So you guys, tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's really exciting. We're gonna end this tonight. We're gonna end Sandoval tonight, and then whatever happens, happens. I will say, the one thing is, I do hear the spinoff though. The spinoff thing is. That rumor is still going full steam. I was around people this weekend that were literally, so I am hearing the spinoff is definitely in the works. That's all I'll say about that. So, but really, really, what a season. And we're going to, this is our last hurrah. Friday's So Bad It's Good episodes. we're going to go all out, man. We're full tilt boogie on that and just finish this out with a bang. And then we'll have the Secrets Revealed episode, and we'll just cover this show as little pieces come out here and there. Who knows? Maybe somebody wrote me yesterday and said, listen, would you consider going back from the beginning of Vanderpump Rules and recapping one episode a week? And I was like, you never know, right? You never know. So let us know what you want to see. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that like, subscribe. I think that helps. Leave a comment if it's nice. If it's not, just move on. And that's it, you guys. I hope you have a great Wednesday. Please let me know what you think of the finale. I'll be doing my prep on Thursday and recording, and then Friday it'll come out. And just have a great finale experience. And I'll try to take pictures at Sir and put them up on my Instagram. And that's it, you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.